All right, I'd like to welcome to the Love in Reality podcast from The Snake, season one. John, how are you doing today, man?
I'm great, Ricky. How are you?
I'm good. I'm good. Obviously, wish we were talking on better circumstances. That's how these things go. You know what I mean? But
Yeah.
I do think that there's a lot unpacked with your time on the show. But tell us, before we dive into the show, tell us a little bit about John and a little bit about your background.
Yeah, so I appear on the show actually as the politician, which is true. I was a mayor and council member in the city of Emeryville for 8 years here in the Bay Area. But it's actually not predominantly what I do. By trade, I have been a lawyer for over 20 years. I work with sexual assault survivors, domestic violence victims, and people who've been sex trafficked. And I'm a former criminal defense attorney. I've worked on both sides of victims and criminal law issues. And I don't know, I love dogs, animals, and traveling. That's me in a nutshell.
First off, incredible work that you're doing now. Obviously, that's amazing. Must be rewarding in some levels as well. All right, well, talk to me how you got cast on the show.
I got contacted by a casting company through a LinkedIn message just saying, hey, we're looking for a recent politician who might be interested in going on I think it was called like a challenge competition reality show. Would you be interested in applying and auditioning? And I had never in a million years thought I would ever try to be on a reality TV show. So for me, it was kind of, at first I thought it was a scam. I definitely am entering my later years if I'm like, this is a scam. But it wasn't a scam. It was actually a legitimate casting recruitment, and that's how I made my entree and path through this process.
Yeah, so obviously you entered the game a little bit late, right? Talk to me about your strategy coming. Talk to me about how maybe you would have altered your strategy there because you're so late in the game. How did you change it? Maybe if you would have started from the beginning, and then obviously where you start.
Yeah, so I had to abandon my whole strategy, and I think one of my weaknesses, I might have said too much about strategy in the interview process with production, because when I realized everyone else had kind of moved from where they keep you to where the house is, and I did not make that move, they come in and they have the little like I call it the come to Jesus, where they're like, so you're going to be held as the late player, and in my mind I was like, no. I do not want to be the late player to this game. Just because I have such a varied set of backgrounds and experiences, both my lived experience, professional experience. I'm a former disaster relief director before I was a lawyer. So I have done a whole bunch of different things, and I viewed myself as somebody who would be able to kind of meld differently to different people. I was also totally open to inventing my entire life story if it meant like just figuring out how to fit in to start. But being held back dramatically changes the way you play the game, and also kind of being portrayed and pitted in a three-piece suit with a bow tie, as a vape salesman. I have a reputation to live up to, and so politicians are not liked in general, and being the politician definitely puts you off on a lesser footing. And so for me, I had a number of handicaps coming in week four that I had to navigate throughout the game, and it really made me rethink from the get-go. Like I'm like I can't do any of the things I thought I would do because I'm already distrusted, I'm already disliked. I have to like figure out how to both survive and make a friend. And I just thought there's too many risks involved with what I was planning to do that. If I was in a different scenario, would have done it differently. But I played an honest game because I thought these people have all betrayed each other, and so they need somebody who they can rely on. You see little bits of it, but not a lot of what I did to trust build with people. And I think it allowed me to evade elimination for a while. People inherently didn't trust me because they thought there's no way this guy is being honest the whole time. But I did that literally as a pathway to figuring out who will really work with me. I tried to win and steal some people's alliances that way. And that ended up being a strategy that I don't think it got me so far, but it didn't really work. I had to make some really high risk, high reward types of decisions in week 7 and 8 that I wouldn't have made if I had started the show at the beginning.
Yeah, talk to me about the winning the snake, right? You get the snake. You kind of had an interesting strategy there with pulling everyone aside and having a chat with them. Two parts is what was that strategy there? And then looking back, would you have maybe changed how you handled it? Because it almost feels like it was maybe your demise as well.
Yeah, I think so. One of the things that I tried to do, and I think I did too much of it, I think you're right, was I heard a lot about you all see on the final edited side, you all see like little snippets of the elimination ceremony, but there are like full speeches that people give about why they're doing things or not doing things. And a theme that came up was You didn't talk to me. You didn't spend enough time with me. You spent too much time with these people. It was all about like everybody wanted to be treated fairly, it felt like. And so I was really just absorbing everyone else's statements in weeks 4, 5, 6, talking about you didn't come to me, you didn't this and that. And it was like lots of aggrieved egos, is what it felt like. And so I thought, okay, I am not going to be, since I'm kind of this neutral player, I was definitely trying to work with Frankie and Alyssa. Anyone watching can see that pretty clearly. But what isn't seen is like later I was trying to work with Jack and McLean. You see that a little bit in week 8, I think finally. But I definitely was trying to do a couple different things. And for me, I was building trust with each of those groups differently. And I thought that in my mind, if I was really transparent about the fact that I'm not going to treat anyone differently, so you don't have to worry like if you're at odds with me, it was important to retaining some of my like neutral appearance because I hadn't landed the place I really felt was my place yet. So I think I did overplay this like I'm a neutral player who wants just what's best. I knew I wanted to get rid of Catherine, and the reason I did, people are going to argue numbers on that, but Catherine was not a number. She was a wild variable, and she was not a reliable number at all. I mean, she kills off Kaylee. She's the demise of Devontae. She's the reason Pastor Jacob goes away, arguably. She's the reason Christine goes home. It was like she could make all the pitches she wanted about, I work with Frankie and Alyssa and Jordan. And I was like, girl, you're bad news, and I know it. And I was like, she's a great player. She's hands down a great player, but I didn't want that, variable there. And so I wanted to also set up a pretense for why I was doing what I was doing. And I had already gathered from everybody that they didn't trust her and like her. And it was just kind of reaching that precipice that I was like, I'll make everybody to blame for it and not just me. So I was looking to be facially neutral, but also make everybody have some responsibility for it so I could try to not be the guy who comes in and kills one side's teammate and then I have a whole group of people gunning for me the next week. It didn't work, but it was in my situation, being behind the 8 ball from the popping out of the box, it was the best choice.
This week, first in the competition was insane. Obviously, it looks awful. We talked a little bit off camera about it, but it just looked all gross. But talk to me about the strategy of putting all your eggs in the basket of Frank first.
Literally, right? Yeah. So when they go over the rules for the game, they say you may bring only one coin out of the swamp or whatever at a time. You cannot have more than one in your hand at any time. You have to visibly deposit it in a box. And they just say a box. They don't say your box, your name on your box. I'm somebody who is real attentive to rules and listening. And if you follow me through every episode, you'll see me say stuff that everybody just gleans over, but like I'm clearly not saying what I'm saying. And only a few people caught that in the house. I can give you examples on that. But I decided for myself, like, okay, I am going to be good at this game. And I did collect either 25 to 26, like a large number of close to what Jack had, the next highest player. So I could have arguably had the highest number myself, but I didn't want to be the snake twice in a row. People already were saying, like, openly that I was too dangerous. I was a threat. It was funny how I went from being a walking tampon to being a dangerous threat in a week. I was like, well, thank you for waking up and realizing I have some game. I definitely will run off a beam or take my fingernails out to win a challenge. Like, so people figured out I was actually a threat. And then I started making friends with people subtly. And it was like the bros were super opposed to it. And so I needed to like find somebody else who I knew would have my back no matter what. And the only person in the game at that point was Frankie. Alyssa probably, but Frankie for sure. And so I kind of decided he's so likable that like he will be lobbied so hard to do like pick a team to help or whatever, but I won't be involved in the equation. I will literally be able to go in and just say, tell me what you need me to do and where you want me to be and stay away from, and I'll do it. And I can just blend back into the hedge. And so for me, I was like, I need to kind of vanish this week. And I knew it was a high risk, high reward thing. But once we were told there's a lotto system, it was like I could win with one, I could lose with 50 of these things. And so I decided that I wanted to just increase probability as best I could and also show that I'm trustworthy and I have loyalty and I will work with people because I thought nobody was really working well together. They voted for each other, but nobody worked well together. And I was trying to communicate the whole time. I'm the player who would, if you work with me, will strategically help you run the board. And so Frankie was the closest to a person who took me up on that. And I basically gave him all those coins and eggs because I wanted him to win because I thought it was mutually beneficial and I would have ridden with him to the end. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, he ended up with 37 of them total this week,
Yeah.
yeah, again, didn't win. You know what I mean? Didn't win the competition, obviously.
Yeah.
Talk to me about the elimination now, right? Who did
Yeah.
you potentially think would call your name, and did you think when it came down to you and Frank? I really feel like, strategically speaking, he should have pulled the trigger on Frank because, again, he has an alliance there, obviously with Alyssa, but there's also like a little buddy alliance with a few other people. He's a dangerous player that nobody's kind of, well, people are starting to pick up on. But
Figuring.
who did you think maybe would call your name through that process? And did you think that there was any potential Jack would call Frank's name instead of yours?
So on the first question, I didn't think anybody would pick my name. I knew everybody wanted me gone. I mean, they were like literally just like, how do we get rid of John? Like John knows too much. John knows what everyone's up to. Because I would literally just lay at the pool, listen to them talk. I mean, I fix breakfast for people. You don't see a lot of this stuff. I made eggs every morning for people, and I just listened to them at the counter share their shit. And it was like, I'm like, free information. This is great. And then it was kind of like I kept saying, you don't see my speech when Christine and I are in the pit in week 6, but I give a whole pitch about like you could choose an honest player who's working the room without saying a word. I was like, you could choose that person to partner with and move your game forward, or you could continue to look at the new players as the liability to you. And like nobody, Frankie and Alyssa got it really quickly, but and we worked well together, but others didn't. Jack and McLean, I think we're getting there. And but I think whatever reasons Jack had, he decided that I needed to go, whether that was pressure from his group and or not. I think he was probably scared to get rid of Frankie because he was afraid of the very thing I was afraid of, which is being in the position of picking off which side to kill off a person from. I knew Catherine was not really tethered to anyone, so it was an easier choice for me. But once you got rid of her, it was kind of like you're picking a side to shoot at. And I think he was trying to lengthen the game as long as he could for himself. So I didn't think anyone was going to pick me. I kind of started getting, I knew Amanda was a possibility to be eliminated. But once I saw Amanda where she was on the chain, I was like, no, I'm toast. And I knew that. And I'm a realist. But I thought there was a chance he would eliminate Frankie, but I didn't really believe so. And, Frank was a little nervous, but I love him to death. And I just, you don't see it. I took his hand at one point. I was just like, it's me. It's not you. Don't worry. Just don't worry. It's like, don't
Right.
worry.
Yeah. He gives it. I mean, he gives whole. I mean, I'm not saying it's from an insincere place, but he gives hell of his speeches whenever he needs to, man.
Yeah,
He's
he's great.
yeah,
He's totally, he's great. He's
yeah,
great. And I'm happy he makes it through week 8. Yeah. It's
yeah,
okay that I go home. It's fine.
for sure.
Yeah.
What's it been like been watching it back? Does anything shock you in that process of watching it back?
Shocked me? No. I would say that there's a couple people. I read the room from the outset. I mean, that was one of the scary things about me to these people is in politics, I have to figure out who you are in the first minute. Like, why am I talking to you sometimes, right? So and being an attorney and working with victims and thousands of clients over the years, like I'm very accustomed to people. I read people really well. I don't have to tell you that I know what you're doing, but I know what you're doing. And I think I read these people correctly, and I made the decisions I made because I knew who they really were. Like picking Catherine, she was a threat because she was really good at the game. I mean, that's a credit to her, but I was like, you're a liability to me, and me in particular, I felt. So I think the one surprise was there's a couple people who were, I think were insecure just as people. There's a couple people I think are insecure in who they are as people, and that played out much more obviously on TV than I expected it to. And that was a production choice probably, but yeah, there's a couple people who are insecure, I think, in real life, and it shows. Yeah.
Final question to you is there any other reality TV shows that you would like to go on?
Oh God, I didn't ever expect to be on one to begin with. So this is such a weird question to answer, 7 months after getting this call. But I would say they don't tell you much about this. This is a season 1, so it was kind of like in the dark. They wouldn't say anything to you. It's just a challenge competition, and you may be in a group setting and whatever. So my type of like adventure show, like I'm dying to be an Amazing Race candidate because I'm the unsuspecting, late 40s guy who's like loves to travel, loves adventure, loves the physical challenges. That was my favorite part of the show was everyone else was grossed out by them. I was like, what body part am I going to destroy today? That's fine. I love throwing myself to that stuff. So if I was to do another show, I think less of the social game in the Big Brother house snakes sort of setting and a little more of the like, like who's the fastest to get around the world. That would probably be me.